What is happening, fellow fantasy GMs? I am DJ Wang. He is the very one DJ Dub. With our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
Oh, JJ Wang, it is week 2 of the Fantasy Couriers ranking shows. Last week we had quarterbacks. This week we're moving on to the ever popular, ever favorite, ever loved running backs. Running backs. Do you know how much my daughter loved that when that
I'm
came?
sure she was.
She was a
She's
very happy camper. But yeah,
famous.
so if you listen to if you ever listened to the show earlier in the week, check it out. We talk about our fear of running back, and I saw that a lot in my rankings as I'm going through, going, oh my goodness, there is a lot of wiggle room in this rankings.
Well, it's just because some people are. I mean, running backs is people that. There's so many varying opinions. It's just because people have been burned by them, or they're afraid they're going to get hurt. They're just all over the place. This
Yeah,
this this is ranking these guys is hard, man.
oh, and it's this one I sit there and I was like, man, I could be way like with the quarterbacks. I felt like I was sort of within a range of the community, and on this one, there's a couple guys. It's like, you know what, I'm gonna put them a little higher in places that a lot of people don't because I feel something about those guys.
I only seen one in your list that was egregious.
I think there's two. There's two, I think, but
that might be. But there's just one that I know is egregious, and I don't understand. I can't wait for your explanation.
It could be I wrote him in the wrong place. Which before a podcast we realized I had Camaro on here twice, so there's two Camaras. Well, that was Camaro. The other one was Kamara because he said you can call him whatever you want. But before we get going, we are the Fantasy Couriers. You can hit us up Instagram, Facebook, put some YouTube comments. We are trying to get out there, get some content on there. We want to talk with you. We've had some cool discussions. I threw up a Pacheco question. He's the new hotness.
Heard it here first.
Do what?
They heard it here first.
Oh, they did. So here's a question I posed, and you tell me what you think. What would you trade if you've got Pacheco everywhere, so I'm not even trying because you don't trade, but if you were trying to get Pacheco, what would you give up for him? Or in other terms, if I were trying to get Pacheco from you, what would it take right now?
I'd say right now, just to be because it's Pacheco. We all know. I mean, it could go either way. He's got a lot of love going on right now. But if you come at me with anything less than because I like the guy too. So if you come at me with anything less than a second, I won't even pay any attention to you.
Yeah, that's sort of where my thought pattern is. A lot of guys were like, I won't pay any more than a third, and I'm like, well then.
You're not going to get him. I mean, I got him for the same reason you're finally realizing that you want him. So you're going to have to pay a little bit for me for you coming in second. So if you're not going to pay any more than a third, I'm sorry. I like him, and I'm not going to get rid of him for a third. So
that's where I'm sitting, trying to figure out. I think that's sort of the range. I got another league where I'm looking at him, and
there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys like that.
Romeo Dubs.
Yeah, Dubs is another one. You come at me with anything less than a second for Romeo Dubs, it's like, get out of here.
Oh, I might not take that. I've got him I got him in a ton of places, and
I would rather keep it and see if it hits.
Yeah, Dubs especially. Yeah. Checo, if I had him and someone blew my socks off, I would probably trade him because I think he's gonna be okay.
I mean, Pacheco's kind of on the same route as James Robinson kind of was. He came in as like the third or fourth back with people ahead of him, and then they just started dropping out. And luckily for me, I was all over James Robinson and had him before everybody else did. So, I mean, I was kind of ahead of the train on that one. But I feel like it's kind of like the same path. I mean, this path is set up because neither of the running backs in front of him are really any good. So,
yeah, we'll talk about that later. We were arguing about that before the show. But hey, something really cool happened this week. I got a new T-shirt.
Oh, nice!
It's and I told him it's Dynasty Nerds. It's a great podcast, a great site. They're amazing to listen to. I don't know if you've listened to them much or not.
I listen to them every week. I mean,
they're out of Ohio. So I was like, oh, cool. They like my Guardians. But they have a promotion where if you sign up for, I forget which one of the things I signed up for, they'll give you a free T-shirt. So I signed up and I said, And I picked a color and I put it on the spreadsheet. And I was like, wait, I got back on the spreadsheet. Said, hey, actually, we do a small time podcast. And could you get it in our colors, like black and gold or black and silver, whatever you get closest to what our colors are for the podcast? And it came in the mail yesterday. I was like,
Oh,
sweet, it
man.
comes in because we stole the logo. We're doing our auction draft on Saturday. And our auction draft stole, this is where I got the logo for, we're called the Fantasy Nerds Auction Draft is what we call ourselves. And an auction draft league or whatever. I forget what I called it. But so I got to do it. And I said, hey, if you can change the colors, I will promote you on our podcast. So, hey, Dynasty Nerds, boom, here you go. I'm wearing the shirt. Great podcast. Check them out. They do, I think, one a week usually. We
Yeah,
do two.
it's one a week. I think I mean, I end up listening to them on Wednesdays, I believe. Yeah, it was one of the first podcasts that I started whenever I learned about Dynasty. That was one among like two or three that I've listened to since I started, you know, playing Dynasty. It's entertaining.
And I'll be honest, their Facebook page is really what's motivating me with ours. I joined it about a month or so ago, and they have awesome discussions. Like I put the Pacheco question on both pages, and there were guys arguing, like getting into each other
Yeah.
on their threads there, talking about this. So I was like, I'll see it here and see how there is. So hoping that we can figure. I want to maybe email them, and be like, what do you do to get the engagement, get people going? And hey, if you're on our page, let's get some chatter up there. I want to see, like right now is a question. As we're recording, the most recent question I put was, who is a guy that you don't have any of your teams, but you would like to have, but show it with a picture, or you never got or would like to have. So I put on ETN for me because I'm in love with him, but I traded my one share away and can't get him.
I'm currently trying to get Justin Herbert. I don't have Justin Herbert anywhere. I'm trying really hard.
Yeah, it's a tough one. One guy put
Well,
like
I'm
Michael
not
Vick.
trying. I just put up my first offer, so he hasn't responded. He has seen it, but he has not denied it. So
Super flex or one quarterback.
it's super flex. Yeah.
Ooh, how many firsts are you throwing away?
I'm getting.
It's gonna be a lot.
I did Justin Fields and two firsts.
That's fair.
Two firsts next 223. I had three. I had 323 firsts, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'd rather have
Justin
a quarterback like Justin Herbert because I don't have him anywhere. So I gave him Justin Fields, and because I have Justin Fields so many places.
Yeah.
So
That's a fair offer, I think.
So Justin Fields is two first. So.
But he needs to be in is he in rebuild mode or is he really
I don't know yet. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's in rebuild. I mean, he's got a solid team.
Yeah, good luck then.
But I know it's a long shot. I mean, I definitely know it's a long shot. But like I said, I got three firsts and Justin Fields everywhere. So I'd rather see if I could. I don't have just Herbert anywhere. So I'm gonna see if I can give it a shot.
Yeah, that's a good one. So yeah, it's been some interesting.
It's a good starting spot though, right? I mean,
Yeah. That's I would say that's close to market value, depending on how competitive the league is. Someone might say, hey, throw in another pick. I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I'd give away that many picks.
Oh yeah, I mean,
for anybody less than Tom Brady in his prime. And he was good for fantasy, but he had the amazing years, but not not the LT type years. If that he had the record breaking year, but he wasn't consistently LaDainian Tomlinson kind of deal. Is where I'd put him. So yeah, that's a good one. I like that. So now we are going to this week. We are going to talk about the running back and the running back ranking. We're gonna look at I did rankings. JJ Wang did tiers, and this week we're gonna try a different format. We are going to talk about guys going back and forth between my rankings and between his tiers. If you want to see what we're talking about on the screens, it's on YouTube. I also am going to post our rankings on Instagram and Facebook that you can look at them there. Tell us how great my rankings look and how terrible JJ Wang's tiers look, or how great his tiers look and how awful my rankings looked. Now that I've this week we won't have Tom Beatty and Alvin Kamara. Kamara will only be on the sites once, so we'll have other fodder as we bust each other's chops. I did put the pictures I used were guys that we talked about on Monday, so I'll make a chart for that and put that up on the site as well. But JJ Wang, we'll start here with the screen of my 1 through 16 rankings, and then we'll sneak over to your tiers as you. Is the guy you want to bust my chops about on this page?
No.
No. So I'll say that the biggest thing that I did that most nobody else in the world is doing, that I just did it more to be cantankerous because I don't think there's a big difference, is I put McCaffrey number one. And I think it's splitting hairs. I am a hopeful believer that he is, and it could be because I finally have a McCaffrey. I am a hopeful believer that he is going to survive this year. And I think with healthy Marshall, better quarterback, another year in with that, with the regime and whatnot, that I think he won't be. They could spread a little bit of pressure. They're still going to go. This is the CMC show and work around him. But I was
I
like,
mean, it's Christian McCaffrey. He's going to score points if he plays. So I mean, putting him in number one is. I mean, if at that it's just who you like better at that point. Like the top 4 or 5 is just who's your personal favorite, because that's what's splitting. That's what's splitting the difference.
yeah, and I thought the catches that he get versus what Naheem will take from Taylor is what really put me up there. And also, how many running backs have repeated at number one? I don't even know the number, but I know it's not incredibly high. And probably the other big difference is you have Henry higher than I have.
I mean, like I said, I
But
mean,
you have, sorry, it's Cook. Cook and Eckler are differences there.
yeah, and like I said, you're split hairs, but I like Austin Eckler better than I like Dalvin Cook, and I was only going to put 4 running backs in my tier one. So I mean, I just think they're better. I think just because Eckler's receiving game, I think that just puts him over the top.
Oh, I
And
I
I just
can't
like
argue with
Austin
that.
Eckler. I can't help it. I like
Yeah,
him.
I know. Somebody wrote on that thread I was talking about earlier. They wrote the guy they haven't gotten is Austin Eckler. I was like, yeah. I wrote DJ Dove. I don't have him anywhere, but JJ Wang has been on that train since
Yeah,
day one.
I like him.
And the next little chunk, we got Harris, we got Swift there together, and the one here that I thought I was being brazen on was putting Kamara up at 8, considering everybody's fears. And really, he's high ranked there. If this was a draft sheet, dude, he's hitting
Well,
like 14, 15.
I mean, let's be honest. Kamara is still the weapon in New Orleans, correct? Are we in
Well, the,
agreement with
the
that?
weapon thing's not the fear; it's the suspension thing.
I don't think. I think the suspension would have already happened if it was going to happen. I think they might skip this. Yeah, I mean, if I didn't take this suspension into account here, but of course, if Kamara plays, he's never finished outside below 9 as a running back, and
Oh,
he's
sorry.
still the main weapon in New Orleans. You can't bet against that. He's never not been an RB1.
Yeah, and it's if he got pushed back 2 weeks for the court
I
date,
could be selling him
and
a little short here, honestly.
oh, there was a point I was looking. I mean, ahead of him though is Harris, Eckler, Cook, Henry. I mean, no, I, in my list those top 8 could be there. I mean, look, I put Swift up there. Aren't you proud of me?
I mean, see, I just need to talk you once I talk into your ear and try to convince. I mean, so we can sway you a little bit, bring you over to the good side.
Yeah, but my problem is I've just been burnt by so many Lions running backs. On Johnson was my boy. You know how many
I mean,
spots I had on Johnson in?
oh, I remember.
Oh, loved him.
And there's nothing wrong with getting burnt and not liking somebody. I mean, there's a lot of people I don't like, but
And I think we higher on Zeke and Barkley. You have Zeke in tier 2 and Barkley in tier 2, and I have Zeke as 10 and Barkley as 11, and that was generally higher than consensus. What makes you have them here? I'd say most consensus, I would say probably push them into the 3 out of fear. What do you think, those
well,
guys?
for Elliott, it's just because I still think Jerry Jones wants to be right and never wrong, and he's going to give Elliott the ball as much as possible. And when Elliott plays, or when Elliott's healthy or whatever, he's always an RB1 too. It's like he always finishes an RB1. And then Barkley, they just don't have anybody else to run the ball, and he's still like a good option receiving. He doesn't have a running back or a backup. That's why I put him here. Like all the running backs below that, most of them have backups. They're not getting like the full workload, or they have running backs who they're splitting time, except for one that we'll bring up. But all these other guys, the workload is all theirs. So
Oh, I know who it
quantity,
is.
so quantity is all. So quantity is all there. So
It's almost
so
like in your tier 2, you have Cook, Swift, Harris, Mixon, Zeke, Kamara, and Barkley. So it'd almost be like tier 2B would be Zeke and Barkley out of the like fears of everybody.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Barkley would be at the bottom for me. I'm just not a
Yeah.
huge. I'm just not a huge. I'm just not a huge fan.
You don't think James Corbin could take over for him or Matt Breida?
Probably not. No.
Corbin's a rookie out of FSU. I'm curious. I think I stashed him somewhere just for fun to
I
see.
think I picked him up somewhere, but like it's I only picked him up because hey, he's a backup to a running
Saquon.
back. But
Did you hear one of the beat writers say or something like Saquon? He has no clue how to play football. I was like, wow, okay. I'm still not convinced Shaq knew a lot about basketball, but he was really big and really strong, and he could dunk the ball. Saquon's got thighs the size of my head and can run over people as long as he stays healthy. So same idea.
never
I,
thought about that.
I
But
have
yeah.
a feeling tier 3 has the guy that you're mad at me about.
Oh, tier 3 has absolutely the guy I'm mad about.
Okay, let me go down to, let me see. I'm going to say, oh, I didn't update that. I'm going to say you're talking about number 26 on my list.
Yeah, I'm talking about number 26 on your list.
26 on my list is rookie running back Brees Hall, and he is in tier 3 for you.
Yes, so I might be a little high. I mean, you know what? I don't even think I'm a little high on Brees Hall. I think Brees Hall is going to be the workload running. And no, I don't say workload because they'll still use Michael Carter, or on third downs, because he's still a good player. They still got to get him involved. But Brees Hall is the running back, and he's going to be the goal line back. So touchdown and yards equals a good running back, and that's what Brees Hall's going to get. And he's going to get some catches too. And he's going to be, like I said, he's going to be plotted in day one as the starter. And even if the Jets are bad, we've seen it before. You don't need to be on a good team to be a top running back. Brees Hall is going to be a top running back.
But basically, what he needs to be successful this year is to be as good as Nick Chubb, correct?
Yeah.
Because he's going to have them taking over. So I'm looking at the guys that I put in front of him. Oh, that's got to be what makes you mad. I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire ahead of Brees Hall.
I think you got
Josh Jacobs,
Josh Jacobs
Rashad
ahead of him.
Penny.
You got Miles Sanders.
Oh, Miles Sanders. I'll argue with Miles Sanders.
You got a guy that's in a three-way committee that didn't score any touchdowns last year, going up against the guy that's going to get all the carries and touchdowns.
And my thing with Brees Hall is you can have all the carries, you can have all the goal line carries, but when your team isn't going to score a lot of touchdowns, that's going to drop you down a whole bunch from, whereas you got Fournette, who I might have low. I just don't feel Leonard Fournette this year. I think I'm with you, or Brady's going to throw the ball, 809 times or so.
So you mean to tell me you think Brees Hall is going to be 10 slots slower than James Conner? Will be that worse of a running back than James Conner?
I don't think James Conner's going to be healthy, but I got to put him there because if James Conner plays the whole season, that's where he falls.
I mean, maybe, probably not, but I mean, he might play the whole season, but I don't think they're going to give him the workload. I mean,
but he's going to get the catches, and the catches will pick up some extra points that Brees Hall. I don't think Hall's going to catch the ball. And unless you're getting catches.
I mean, I got an issue with Conner too. Well, Conner and Brees Hall, I guess, are the two I have issues with. But
Conner had it 16, and you have him in tier. Do you even have him on your list? Oh, tier 5.
Yeah, tier 5.
So tier 4 for you.
And honestly, he's probably at the bottom of tier 5. Honestly, to be completely honest, I'm not drafting James Conner at all. I don't even know why I put him on my list.
Oh, I'll be honest, I probably won't either. He scares me.
No way I would draft James Conner under any circumstance.
And I like
Leonard Fournette either. I would not draft either one of those guys.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, Conner is my 16. Fournette is my 17. They are running backs on high-powered offenses that I think are going to not need. They could end up scoring 42 billion touchdowns, but not getting a boat ton of yards because
both of those guys were the only show in town last year, and I think that changes for both of them.
You think for Conner, is it Darrell Williams?
Yeah, and yeah. Darrell, I was thinking somebody else.
Darrell Williams.
So Eno Benjamin. They said Eno Benjamin is looking really good in camp. If Eno Benjamin steals some goal line carries from James Conner. James Conner's not getting touchdowns. What's James Conner good for? Not good for yards.
Receptions?
40 receptions for 300 yards? Is that going to make a difference in anything?
It adds up quick. I mean, 300 yards, you're talking 30 points.
So let's say Conner has what he did last year: 700 rushing yards, 300 receiving yards, and 5 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns.
then he's better than Miles Sanders. He's better than David Montgomery. He's better than Rashad Penny. He's better than Josh Jacobs. He's better than
But I
CEH.
don't even think he's. But
Eli
I don't
Mitchell
even
is the
think.
guy I'm probably screwing the pooch on here. Like I probably
But
have
I
him
don't
way
even.
too low.
But I don't even think Connor is going to have that. I'm not. He's not going to have the same season he had last year. He's going to be worse in every category next year than he had in compared to this year.
And I'd say on this list, the guy that I'm high on, but others aren't, and I'm still scared of him is Cam Akers. Like I love Cam Akers, but it's that
Oh, they
Achilles
can't make.
thing, and I got him below him. He's the guy I could pop up. Um, Eli Mitchell. I made this list before. A lot of great things have been coming out about him that I think he could be a guy that could sneak up there if he gets the run like he should get in San Francisco. I just a high powered offense. You're the guy in town. I love Darrell Williams. He's my boy. I have him on a couple of teams. I just
Yeah, I got Cam. I got Cam Akers in the top 15. It wouldn't surprise me if he's in my tier. He's in
ooh,
tier
he's in your
3.
tier three. So
Yeah,
tier three, you have Cam Akers with Chubb, Jones, Javante, Hall, and Dobbins.
I mean, I think McVay obviously really likes Cam Akers. We've seen him when he let him lead the team in the playoffs last year, coming off the Achilles, and I think he's going to get every opportunity to play. He's going to get the carries. Same way with Dobbins. They're going to run the ball a lot.
Is McVay arrogant enough that he would want to run Akers into the ground when he has two really good running backs and he wants to keep Akers for a couple more years and Henderson's a free agent next year?
I don't think so. I mean, he's going to run. This is what you do with running backs.
Yeah. That is, would you get some more
would
you get some more run with Henderson this year to give Akers that 1 year to pick up? Like I'm running some Akers in a couple. I got two teams of Akers, and
I guess it's possible. Maybe not give him as much work coming off, the injury. Give him like one more season to like maybe like a 60-40 split. Yeah. Then maybe something like that, and then maybe 60-40. Maybe something like that. Maybe I guess. But yeah, I can see it not giving the complete workload.
I mean, he's never done it, so it's more of a like on that team. I actually have both of them, and I was jokingly put them both in the lineup, and there's a good chance Henderson might be my flex a couple of weeks because my depth is what I've been working on that team. But and here's another one. I did a trade this week, and I got Najee Harris. I don't know if I sent you this one. I traded away J.K. Dobbins and Garrett Wilson. So Najee Harris, if you look at like dynasty rankings, is like number 2.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Not yearly rankings.
And it's hard for me. Honestly, I don't think Najee Harris is going to get the same workload he had last year.
Oh, he's not.
And he wasn't super efficient last year. So maybe he has less work, but he's more efficient. So it might even it out a little bit.
I think so.
We'll see. But
what was the video? What was it? Oh, this workout. It popped up on ESPN today, talking about this like apparently like super massive workout. So if you get a chance to check it on ESPN, like showing this like crazy wild workout he's been doing to get stronger, bigger, faster.
I mean, have you seen Austin Eckler's workouts?
No, I have not.
Dude, it's not right, dude. It's not right.
I miss the old school Jerry Rice. Did you ever watch that old video of Jerry Rice where he's like
running up the mountain?
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, Dobbins is the only guy there, and Chubb is a guy that I have, but I don't want. So anybody entrust the process, know that he's available because he's gonna do good. And I don't know what it is. I like the argument that Chubb could be the best running back in the league that you don't want on your fantasy team.
Because he doesn't catch the ball. I mean, if we were playing standard, Chubb would be way up there, right? But yeah. I got him in tier 3 just because he's not a full workload running back, and all the guys ahead of him have no backup running back to worry about. Chubb, I mean, has Kareem Hunt and Dearness Johnson to an extent, and they're going to rotate all these guys in there because Chubb doesn't catch the ball.
Well, yeah, and Aaron Jones, I'm not an Aaron Jones guy, and I'm just interested to see if he could. I think he's a guy on that list that could sneak up into tier 2. And breaking news! Melvin Gordon has a foot injury. Say Melvin Gordon has Lisfranc, Melvin Gordon plantar fasciitis or something. If Melvin Gordon is out for an extended period of time, where does Javonte Williams go?
I mean, I'll put him in tier 2. I mean, I don't think he can go any higher. I can't put him in tier 1.
Where would he fall? Like, say if you're in tier 2, would he be closer? I mean, I know they're not ordered, but they're sort of ordered. Like you said, you wouldn't take Barkley really. Would he be closer to Cook, Barkley, or somewhere in the middle?
Like it's tough because all these guys in tier two. I mean, except for Barkley, I think. I mean,
Yeah, any of those guys. Okay.
like it's a crapshoot.
Oh yeah. I
Like
just
it's
I
just
just saw that come on. But I forgot about that when I was reading some stuff
like
today.
I would probably put him above Barkley, Kamara, Elliott, and Mixon just because I like him better.
So
I,
for
I,
space, would you just switch Barkley to tier 3 and put Williams in there?
I mean, I could do that. I mean, I guess I could do that, but like I said, Barkley doesn't have a backup, and it's just I can't.
And how about the argument we had before the show? So we're looking here at, let's go down to your tier fives where you have James Conner. I love your tier four, ETN and Mitchell. And I think Penny's gonna have a decent year, even though I don't have one left. I traded him away, but I have ETN. I moved him as my pick. I'm in love with the dude. I got him up at 15, and that would be like probably right here in your tier three ish.
I still think James Robinson is going to get a little more run, too much of a run for him to finish top 15.
Kamara without getting run. I, I see that situation totally being the Saints. It's sort of where I'm rolling, and I think if they play it well, and T Law takes a step that I think we both believe he probably should take this year because he's not running in a circus, that it could be he could have I think he's a Kamara type player, not a like Mitchell's could be more. He's gonna get more run. I think
He is.
Penny's
I
could get
mean, he
more
is.
run. Those three guys are different. Like Penny and Mitchell are the pounders, and ETN's the catcher.
But if you look at all those other guys that we compare ETN to, right? What the Camara, blah blah, the Ecklers and that
Yeah.
those guys, when they came into the league, or when they started dominating, is when they didn't have backup running backs to come in behind them and play. Like
Ingram was there for
there was
Kamara.
no sharing of other work. There's no sharing of the workload. I mean, it's Ingram was just getting those couple touchdowns. That's what got him so high. But
Yeah.
there's not really a sharing of the workload. And I think ETN and James Robinson are still going to share the workload this season, especially with ETN coming off the injury, still kind of being his rookie year. Give him a little bit more time. Still use Robinson because if Robinson's effective, he's not going to start the season on the pup. So
Yeah, I don't know. I just say everything. They're saying ETN's the best player on this team right
I'm
now.
not
So
I'm
I
not
don't
saying
know.
I
Yeah,
mean
we both love him. I
he
just
could be, but I don't think he's going to come into a Camara Austin Eckler type workload to start out with. And maybe by the end of the season, it might work into that.
yeah.
But I don't think in the beginning, I don't think it'll be that way.
So you're saying overpay for him now versus overpay for him later.
Oh, I mean, that's the only way you're going to get him.
Yeah,
Is if
like
you
I've I try to trade for him, and man, the things people are asking, like I like him better than I'd rather have him than Chubb, Aaron Jones maybe. Like he'd be right in between Barkley and Jones right there as far as wanting to have on my team, and that's a want versus an because Aaron Jones. What? Let's see. You have AJ. I have AJ Dillon. Oh wow, at 27, and you have him in tier 6. So we're relatively the same place. What's the likelihood that he moves up, or they balance that a lot more?
I mean, it could. I mean, that's just Aaron Jones. I still think is the biggest threat in the backfield on that team, and I think the Packers are still trying to win championship. I mean, AJ Dillon's going to get his. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
but I think Aaron Jones has proved enough. He's still on his big contract, and he's still got game in him. Man, it wouldn't surprise me if Aaron Jones finished 20th and AJ Dillon finished 23rd. I mean, or both of them finished 21 and 22. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, but I don't think that's how it's going to go.
yeah. I mean, they're basically Aaron Jones. Let's see what years is. They're stuck with Aaron Jones for the next 2 years, whereas I should look here and see where they are with AJ Dillon.
Well, this
Is
is only
he?
what his third year,
That's what I was. Is this his third year? So they
second
got
year,
him
and they
for
got him for
2.
4 years. So
This is his third year. So they got him for 2 years, and
yeah,
he's a cheapo. Like they're rolling $1 million a year for him for the next couple of years, and it's all they lose everything dead
yeah. That's
cap.
why they can.
So yeah,
That's
they're not
why
gonna dump him, but yeah,
they can. That's why they can keep Aaron Jones because they're really only paying one running back. So I mean,
yeah, it's a amazing tandem, amazing problem to have here. Let's see. I'm trying to think who I was thinking of here. Like we both have Pierce about the team. I added Cook there to the tail end. What do you think and then we'll get into the big argument here to close it out. What do you think what's Cooks. I threw him in there because I just love the receiving back. What's he going to look like in his rookie year up in
Who's
Buffalo?
that, James? I mean, I don't know how much run he's going to get as a running back. I mean, he'll be like in maybe like 40 catches, like 40 catches, 300 yards, maybe like what James Conner had. But I don't think he's going to get enough of the run game to really amount to much, at least this season. I don't think.
So yeah,
Because I
I
mean,
think
because I mean, think of even the passing game. I mean, Gabriel Davis is going to have like 6,000 yards and 42 touchdowns.
of course.
So, so I mean, there's not going
On
to be a lot.
275 catches. Of
Yeah, so there's
course.
not going to be a lot to go around there. So everybody's be a lot really effective.
I need a calculator to see what his season would look like if he had that one game every week. It would be 17 times 4, and then what? It'd be ridiculous. Could you imagine that season on a
It's
person?
happening, man. Get ready.
We'll talk about him next week.
Get ready for it, man.
So
Wide receiver MVP.
our big argument. I got two arguments. I'll save the big one for last. We got him inverted. Our Patriots running back. So I put your picture because there's your boy that you're higher on than I am. And then most people, you have Harris higher than Stevenson. I have Stevenson higher than Harris, but we don't have him astronomically higher. We just got him flipped.
Look, the Patriots, well, from what I gather, the Patriots are looking like dog crap at camp. So
yes, finally,
the Patriots might literally run the ball 600 times. They had a game where they only passed it 3 times. Now that was because of the weather, but it wouldn't surprise me in a regular game they ran the ball 49 times. It wouldn't surprise me. So I think there's room for both of these guys. Both of these guys could end up with 200 carries and 10 touchdowns because if they're just going to run the ball all the time, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I just like Harris better than I like Stevenson because Harris was the 14th ranked running back last year. So
I'm gonna take the fresh legs and
but for
figure they're
but
gonna
like
mess up. But
but
I'm 5 spots apart.
it's like I said the other day. People love James Conner for some reason, but they hate Damian Harris. Makes literally 0 sense, guys. 0 sense.
And you got them together, so you're consistent there. Josh Jacobs.
Josh
I don't
Jacobs.
know. I got no question. I said Josh
I don't know.
Jacobs. I'm like, wow.
Josh Jacobs is like
23. Well, I got him high.
RB2, like low end RB2 every year for me. I just feel like he's just that guy. I mean, he's solid. Don't expect much from him, but he'll give you good games.
And the name I'm hearing, I think I mentioned it Monday, is I'm hearing a lot of Kenyon Drake talk. Everybody loves Samir White, but Drake, if you have deep rosters, and you might want to sneak him on there and then just dump him at the
How
end.
many years have we said this, man?
I know, but I'm talking like if you got a ridiculously late, like giant roster, some leagues do. You put him there week 1, you drop him for the waiver wire thing if he doesn't do anything.
Oh yeah, man, he's probably on every. He's probably not on the waiver wire.
Redraft, he might be on more. Dynasty,
redraft, yeah, redraft definitely.
Yeah, Dynasty, because nobody has a giant. But Dynasty,
I wouldn't even draft him in a redraft.
Maybe I'll nominate him at the auction. So now to the argument. I mean, and the one that makes me happy is it makes me sad. Like I think we could later on be saying how good this guy is. I love Pierce. Oh, wrong way. I got him at 35. You have him in your tier 6. I think he's good. Neither of us have Mac on there, so I think we both believe Pierce is going to take over the job sooner rather than later, and end up better than Mac.
Yeah, I mean, Mac could be good. Like I said, this is like when I do my rankings, it's just based pretty much on personal opinions of how I like a guy. And I own a lot more pieces of Pierce, and I want him to succeed a lot more than I really need. I mean, I hope Marlon Mack succeeds. I really do. I hope all these guys succeed. But I'd rather Pierce succeed a little more.
I got one here for you. Melvin Gordon. Where in the world's Melvin Gordon?
Well, he hurt his foot, so I'm waiting.
See if we're at him. Where would you put him? Say they're doing the 60-40 split, 65-35 split they're talking about.
I'd probably put Melvin Gordon somewhere in tier 6 probably.
That's right, guys. So the argument of the day falls in Kansas City. As an RB2, I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 24. You have him in tier 6. We were fighting about him before the podcast.
I mean, and honestly, I got him kind of at the bottom of tier 6. I didn't even want to put him on the list, to be completely honest. That's how much I'm off this guy. I got him in a league, and I want to get rid of him, but I can't because nobody will take him.
Am I in the league?
No.
Oh, okay.
So I'm forced to keep him, and it really hurts my feelings. But I just don't think he's the guy. I think he's a guy, not the guy. I think he's like a Darren Sproles.
Darren Sproles. A
Maybe.
couple years, I would have taken that.
Well, I mean, he might not even be as good as Darius Rose, maybe, but I think maybe that's the best possibility. I mean, maybe he can turn into is a Darren Sproles, and I think Ronald Jones. You saying he might not even make the team, but if he makes the team, he's going to be making a run at the job, and they're going to have to. Even if Ronald Jones doesn't make, I'm not saying it's not going to be. I think Ronald Jones will make the team, and
I think it was team.
I think he probably does better than Ceh, but they're just going to go with whoever's doing better. And I don't think CEH is going to be doing better than anybody, honestly.
Well, then where's Ronald Jones? If you put CEH on here, he's gonna be better.
I only put CEH on there because he's got first round draft capital, and they still want to try to give him the ball because they don't want to be wrong. So I still gave him a little bit of push because I think they still want him to be the guy, but it's not going to take much for me to not even put him in the top 36.
So I had a podcast convince me to give CEH a little bit of a pass for 1 year. Rookie year, he was terrible. Last year, he might have built on it, but he had the shoulder injury. He before, was it a gallbladder right before the season last year, and it beats you up getting that removed. My wife got it. She was down for a while. Like, it pretty much emptied out Christmas a couple of years ago. So that's why I got him right there. 24. That means he's borderline. He's a wide receiver 2, but a running back 2 right there. He's better than Breece Hall, of course. Eli Mitchell could swap him, and the other guys right there behind him. But I just think
in a 3-way committee, better
not in a 3-way committee. He is not in a committee.
Who's not in the committee? CEH?
CEH right now is not in a committee. There are 2 guys in Kansas City that are going to make the team, Pacheco and CEH.
And Ronald Jones.
Nope, he's not guaranteed. That's coming out of camp that he's not guaranteed to make it. He's playing for his position.
Did this come from the head coach?
I forget who it came from, but
probably come from a beat writer who knows about as much as we do. That's not true. I don't mean to say that about beat writers. They know a lot more than I do. I don't mean to say that. But.
Yeah, I'm seeing if I can find. But I think they're going to carry other running backs because they want to finally be able to run because they've never. I mean, that would put McKinnon on the roster. Like, I like McKinnon as a good scat back. But
so they've never been able to run, right? Who's been the running back the last 2 years?
The injured CEH.
Well, he wasn't injured the first year and then half of last year, evidently. I didn't even know he was injured last year. But he looked terrible. He's looked terrible for 2 years.
I got none. I don't think we can convince each other otherwise. I just think CEH is going to.
Like I said, I hope the guy succeeds. I really do. But
I don't know if I want the Chiefs to be good anymore. I'm kind of tired of it.
I don't have anybody on the Chiefs. I don't think so. I don't care what they do, honestly.
I just got my first Mahomes. So those are our rankings. Check them out on the Instagram. I'm an old guy. Check them out on Facebook. They'll be posted there. Tell us what you think. JJ Wang, if you could think of a guy that maybe you didn't put on there that you think could be decent, or that you had on there that you think could jump tiers, who might that be?
I really want to say Isaiah Spiller, because I think there's a world where Eckler and Spiller could coexist. I'm not saying Spiller's going to be like an RB. I don't think he can be an RB2, considering that I got Eckler like a top 4 running back, but I think he could slide into like maybe the top 36. With some catches here, and he's going to get some goal line carries, I think. So, I mean, I just like Isaiah Spiller, too, so I just wanted to bring him up.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be good. I think you're a year early on him. I think they're going to still push some Eckler and see what he gets. It's amazing how on consensus, how high we are on Pierce compared to everyone else. I think a sneaky guy, because you know how I'm a scat back.
Well, I mean, I don't care. It's the Texans for me, so I really don't. If you could put any rookie back there, I'd be out on him. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I mean, he's usually on. I'm looking on ESPN. Him and Pierce are like, him and Mac are side by side. But
yeah, I mean,
I love my scat backs, and I'm hearing great things from coaches and things. But Naheem Hines, I think, could be a guy that could sneak up in there if they. It depends how much they want to push Taylor. If they're like, hey, you know what? The dump off from Matt Ryan is good. We want the little fast guy, and they're saying they want to use him a lot more. I could see him sneaking up. I don't know how high, but in the top 36,
I feel like
possibly.
don't we say this every year?
But he had that, so he's been there. He's been there a handful of years, and 2 years ago, it wasn't that the year he showed out. Was it 2 years or 3 years ago?
I mean, I only remember like Hams being cool for like 1 year, and that popped his name, and then ever since then, it's just been living off that one. He might have a good game here and there, and but I just don't think. I
Wait,
just
rookie year he had 63 receptions. He's in every other year player. So this would be the year. There was another guy who's always in every other year good
Matt
player.
Ryan.
His rookie year he had 314 yards, 2 touchdowns rushing, 63 for 425 and 2 touchdowns. That's okay. The next year he fell on his face. And then in 2020, he had 380 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, 63 for 482 and 4 touchdowns. And that was the year he was decent. But that's enough to get you in the top 36, though, because everybody else is hurt and it fluctuates so much. And last year, he was just not good.
But if you think it might be enough to get him in the top 36, right? But it's not a top 36 you want. It's a Tyler Lockett top 12.
Well, but the thing is, that could be what he gets, though. Is he going to get you that Tyler Lockett week?
I bet all of his production probably came in 3 games. And you're not going to start him because you're going to bench him until he plays well, and then you play him, and then he doesn't play well for the next 4 games, and then you bench him, and then he pops off. You don't want to deal with that. But at the end of the year, he looks good because he popped off for 3 games.
I'm looking at the wrong year. But yeah, so but he's the guy. Like, he's not going to be a guy you're going to start. I mean, he could have an amazing time. Yeah, he had a 5 for 8 and then 54 yards and 2 touchdowns on a week. So he's not a volume guy, but he could have that blow. He's the Tyler Lockett. That's a great comp, and people draft Tyler Lockett. So,
well, yeah, people are definitely going to draft Naheem Hines because people are talking about it. His name is out there, so he'll get drafted. But I mean, I'm not. There's other people I like better than Naheem Hines. So.
Okay, JJ, give us your last. Next week we're going to wide receiver week. Wrap up running back week.
I mean, get as many running backs as possible. I mean, we did it. So it did another best ball draft today, and I went with 2 running backs early. And I already like my team better than starting with 2 wide receivers, just because by the time you get to the 5th round, there's literally 0 running backs that you want.
Oh, by the way, I just got on the clock in that draft.
So, I mean, I came up with, I think, Eckler and
Javonte
Williams. I'm pretty happy with that. Of course, I found out about Melvin Gordon before I made the Javonte Williams pick. So I'm like, yeah, cool. But
I have Derrick Henry and Joe Mixon, but then you backed him up with Michael. Oh, you snake!
I was going to take Josh Allen there, but I seen Pittman. So,
but
anyway,
he's right there.
Yep.
RB15 is James Conner. RB16 is
probably Leonard Fournette.
Travis Etienne on my team.
Right, yeah. So it gives me running backs as possible because these guys are going to get hurt, fall out, and you're going to be rotating them in all year. So as always, trust yourself and trust the process.